It's 11 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thanks so much for being with us on Live at 9. Our next guest offers us a rare and frightening glimpse into a world many Mid-South families are familiar with, the prison system. Dr. Christine Montrose examines everything from high COVID rates among incarcerated people to policies that disproportionately punish people of color, the poor, and the mentally ill. This morning, we're live with Dr. Montrose via Zoom to discuss her book, Waiting for an Echo, The Madness of American Incarceration. Dr. Montrose, thank you so much for your work and for your time. What made you focus on the prison system specifically?
Good morning. I work in a psychiatric hospital. I work on the intensive treatment units, which are the psychiatric versions of the ICU. So the people that I see there are severely mentally ill. They're hearing voices or seeing visions. They might be very paranoid or actively trying to hurt themselves or other people. And over the course of my years in practice, I heard over and over again from them that they would often come in contact with police and sometimes serve time in our nation's jails and prisons. And when I talked to them about why these situations happened, often it had very little or nothing to do with criminal intent, but a lot to do with their psychiatric symptoms. So they were shouting in the Starbucks or trespassing in a place they weren't supposed to be, or charging through TSA because they had delusional beliefs about a plane they had to catch. So I began to wonder about what happened to them once they came in contact with police and entered into our nation's correctional facilities.
And what did you find?
What I found was that when people who are my patients, mentally ill people, enter into jails and prisons, it's an environment that is extremely difficult for them, and often they become less psychologically well. But what I also found was that people who are even mentally well often become psychiatrically ill when they're in our nation's facilities. And in a country where 95% of our detainees come back out of prison into our communities, it seemed to me that this is a disservice to all of us.
Is it a matter of the prison system just being overwhelmed, or is it a matter of training or lack thereof in terms of appropriate care, where prisoners are perhaps just medicated and left without any kind of real therapy just to basically keep the peace?
So there are a number of different issues. I think some of them are the issues that you cite. One of them is that oftentimes in psychiatric emergencies, people feel as though if their loved ones are in distress or in danger, they have no option other than to call 911. In medical emergencies, when 911 is called, you have EMTs and paramedics that show up if you've been in a car accident or having a heart attack, and they can start IVs, administer oxygen, stabilize fractures, and get you to a hospital. In a psychiatric emergency, the first responders are police who are not clinically trained for mental health emergencies. So one thing is, I think we could keep a lot of mentally ill people out of jails and prisons if our first response was a therapeutic one rather than a judicial one.
I was just going to ask about that because here in Memphis we have a pretty effective crisis unit. Unfortunately, the last year and a half now has stretched cities' budgets, has certainly stressed police departments because it's stressed the entire community, so the response in general is tougher. And this problem has gotten worse because of COVID, right? I mean, there's been less attention once someone is incarcerated. So let's address the police department issue first. Is it a matter of funding that officers are just not trained in crisis response?
So that's a piece of it, or we could also send trained clinicians to respond to psychiatric emergencies. And there are places that are doing this. Chicago's beginning to do this now. Washington, D.C. is doing this now. There's a well-established program in Oregon. And what we see is not only that that benefits mentally ill people who are in crisis, but it actually benefits the police departments as well, because they are sometimes inundated by these calls for psychiatric emergencies, and having a dedicated clinical force to handle this really allows them to spend their time doing more active policing rather than mental health care.
It seems like, and with so many societal problems, it seems so overwhelming that it's almost like, where do we start? If you could just do one thing, what would be a good starting point for communities like Memphis to undertake?
So, one of the exciting things that I discovered when researching Waiting for an Echo was that there are places that are doing things differently with really great results. So, I visited Norway and Sweden, and they've really revamped their prison system where they used to have recidivism rates like ours, 60 to 70%. They're now at 20%. They have much less violence in their prisons than they used to. And what they did was that they started viewing the period of prison, a prison sentence, as a constructive time to use the whole time to try to prevent people from coming back. So they do a needs assessment when you first arrive to see, do you need substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment, anger management? Do you need job skills training or education? And then as opposed to the very American idea of doing time and corrections, they make that sentence a really constructive period of time. So when you leave prison, you're less apt to come back.
Perhaps spend more money on the front end so that you'll spend far less on the back end. Thank you so much. Restorative justice. Maybe somebody will listen. Appreciate you writing your book.
Thank you for having me.